Super Bowl 51 is in H-Town. Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons will face Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. This may be Ryan's first Super Bowl appearance, but Dan Quinn will be coaching in 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, while Brady and Belichick have been in 2 of the last 4. Ryan Clark in the house.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
How we doing? Sorry your boys didn't
Looking
get it
sharp
done.
as always.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, it's just tough to go there and win, though. So,
Of course.
we live with it.
Of course, we've seen the track record. Max, want to start with you
Yeah.
here. Who's the most feared player, or who should be the most feared player on Super Bowl Sunday?
Feared is the operative word. And so I am not going to say Tom Brady, who is the best player in the game.
Okay.
Tom Brady doesn't make mistakes. He has a strong, accurate arm, et cetera, et cetera. I'll leave that to whoever wants to argue for Tom Brady.
Go ahead.
But the most feared is Julio Jones, for a lot of the reasons, Stephen A., that you brought up earlier. The most feared is Julio Jones because you could do everything right to Julio Jones. He is the one player on the field, both sides of the ball, either team, who you can do every single thing right to stop him, and you still may not be able to. And if this is a tight game, because you look at that Patriots defense against the run, et cetera, and you look at special teams, every phase of the game, Belichick's going to be better prepared than the other side. He's the better coach, et cetera. Everyone's going to ball. We know that. The way the Falcons are playing, though, it should be a close contest. And when you have a home run hitter and a difference maker like Julio Jones, where it can all be right for you and he can make it come out wrong for you, that's the guy you have to fear the most on the field, either side.
Let me tell you why I disagree with you. I'm going to go with Tom Brady with this one. Here's why. It's not just because of the greatness of Tom Brady. It's because of the youth in Atlanta's secondary and the moment itself. Now, we can sit up there and we can look at athleticism, we can look at physicality, we can look at the way that they perform, we can look at all these different things. But you would know this better than me. The Super Bowl is a different stage. It's the ultimate stage. And sometimes, those dudes whose eyes get a little bit bright and wide and what have you, putting Max Kellerman to shame, okay? I mean, when you got those eyes, you understand what I'm trying to say? It's like, whoa, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. This stage might be too big. Not saying that that's you. I'm just talking about your eyes right
I'm
there.
just saying, you might be in love with me or something. I'm
just saying, but the point is, here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. But I look at that. And here's the point that I want to bring up about Atlanta. Everybody's been raving about how they've been since the bye week. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from Atlanta. I think they got a real legitimate shot at winning the Super Bowl. But I got to look at this, y'all. They won the game. They ended the season winning 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. They beat Arizona after the bye week. We know what's been going on with Arizona. They were haphazard this year. They lost that game to Kansas City. Then they come back with 4 straight. Rams, 49ers, Panthers. Now, they beat New Orleans too. They gave up 32 to New Orleans, okay? They won 38-32. And then in the divisional, they beat Seattle. We all know that their offense ain't the same, and they've been a bit haphazard this year. And yesterday, they went up against Aaron Rodgers with a bunch of receivers that couldn't catch the ball, okay? So let's pump the brakes just a little bit, put stuff in its proper perspective, and rationalize that even though Atlanta has looked very impressive, defensively, they clearly improved from what they were earlier on in the season. We got to take into consideration the level of competition and acknowledge that ain't who you going up against in 2 weeks.
Right.
That's going to be tough. This is a different animal that you're going up against. I'm talking about the collection of
so far, they've been up against brand names, but the brand names haven't, Seattle was compromised because of injury, et cetera, same thing.
Well, in saying that, to me, you can't say Tom Brady and talk about the quarterbacks they've faced and skip over Aaron Rodgers. Right, Aaron Rodgers played well yesterday. He's not the reason the Green Bay Packers are home today. But when you prepare against an Aaron Rodgers, it's a team sport, right? And so what was it that the Atlanta Falcons did against Aaron Rodgers? They made stops, but they scored, and they scored constantly, and they put pressure on the offense. And a huge reason why the Atlanta Falcons score, and obviously Julio Jones, we understand what he can do physically, the ways you have to stop him. But what does Bill Belichick do? The thing you do well, he takes that away. The person that you do, quote unquote, fear, he takes that away. We saw that with Antonio Brown yesterday. Obviously, Tom Brady, he's a household name, not only household in the regular season. This ain't Peyton Manning type guy. This is, I show up when it's supposed to happen. Those are obvious. For me, it's a guy named Tevin Freeman. I made it up because it's both of them.
Yeah.
It's the position. right? It's Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, because these guys throughout the season, 2,500 total yards, 24 touchdowns. In the divisional game, they had half of the 400 yards. They had 200 total together. Obviously, you're going to go out and plan to stop Julio Jones. You're going to put things together in the secondary to stop Mohamed Sanu, Gabriel, these guys, Matt Ryan, because that will be the focal point. You're going to get Vanoy matched up on the back. You're going to get Ninkovich matched up on the back. You're going to have to stop the downhill running game. And I think that's the way Atlanta has to attack Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, because you have to
Isn't that
keep him
still
off the
Julio
field.
Jones, though? Because, look, the Patriots' run defense is special to me. I mean, they really did a good job. I know Le'Veon Bell goes down early, but he wasn't lighting the game on fire before then.
6 carries, 20 yards.
Right, but with these spread offenses nowadays, with it being a one-on-one matchup, go beat your guy, right? As well as Matt Ryan has been playing, what Julio Jones does is make it easier for Sanu and for Gabriel, and especially, I think, for you said, who was it, Tevin Freeman?
Tevin Freeman.
Right, especially when they're catching passes out of the backfield. It's not just a straight run game, it's using them as receivers.
Right, but if you're Bill Belichick, you don't fear that, because you have taken away number one threats your whole career. That's what you do. That is what you have built defense on. So that doesn't scare you. What scares you is the things I can't scheme for. Because if I can scheme for Julio Jones, if I can scheme for Matt Ryan, then I have to have a one-on-one matchup with my linebacker against these backs. And I think these backs are better. That's how Denver got exposed early on in the season against Atlanta.
Let me tell you what I think you're missing. Feel free to correct me. Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman are big time. I love, they're ferocious runners. They don't dance around. They're not patient like Le'Veon Bell, but at the same time, you might be worried about going up against them because they're north-south runners. They go downhill, they come right at you. I love that about them, and I know those brothers can play. But when you have weapons like a Julio Jones and what he creates, what he makes Gabriel into, what he makes Sanu into, and what have you, and Matt Ryan throwing the football, the key word to me is patience and discipline. Do you have that if you're the Atlanta Falcons? Can you show up in the Super Bowl and give these boys the ball all day to run the football and move the chains? Chances are that's not what you're going to do, because even though you know they can ball, that's not a strength of yours. I'm thinking about Bill Belichick and the different and the discipline and the efficiency that he's instilled in these guys, and the fact that they have been here before. And I'm wondering how Atlanta can offset that. To me, the key is going to be Quinn, because Quinn has coached against them in the Super Bowl before. He's beaten big-time quarterbacks before. He has that potential.
So, real quick, when Le'Veon Bell went out, DeAngelo Williams comes in and they score a touchdown. It wasn't because DeAngelo Williams was running the football. It was him catching the ball out of the backfield. Why is that open? Because now we're using a safety and Malcolm Butler underneath on Antonio Brown. And these running backs, it's not about that they rush for a ton of yards. It's that they affect the game.
Right. When you say Belichick takes away your top option, if your sixth pass catching option is Devontae Freeman, you're in trouble.
We got to leave it there because we got a lot coming up in the second hour. Ryan is sticking with us. Up next man up. Brady becomes the only quarterback ever to make 7 Super Bowl appearances. He extended his record with his 24th postseason win. Those 24 wins are more than 26 teams what they have in their franchise history.
He's the ultimate team player. He's a competitor. He's our leader, and we love him. So we play for Tom.
There's a reason he's one of the best to ever play the game. That's why we have respect for him, and we know coming into this environment what we were up against, and that's why we needed to play a near flawless game, and we didn't.
Big Ben calls him the best to ever play the game. Max did yesterday prove that Tom Brady is the greatest ever.
No, he proved that a long time ago. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time because Tom Brady is Derek Jeter with A-Rod numbers. He's Joe Montana with Dan Marino numbers. You know, he's Tom Brady now with Peyton Manning numbers. In every sport, you can find that comparison, the two who are side-by-side contemporaries. One of them gives you the feeling that they're better, usually because they're on a better coached team, and they win more championships. And the other guy's just more talented, putting up bigger numbers. You go, if you would have switched teams, maybe the guy putting up bigger numbers would really be unanimously considered the best. And that was the case with Jeter and A-Rod, and that was the case with Montana and Marino, and that was the case for years with Brady and Peyton, except now Brady's putting up those Peyton numbers, and he's Tom Brady, the guy who wins all the Super Bowls. But let's be clear about this. The greatness of Tom Brady is because he's sustained this absurdly high level of excellence over an impossibly long time. It's not because he's playing the position at the highest level we've ever seen it play. There's a guy this year, Aaron Rodgers, who has played it at a higher level than Tom Brady.
Even yesterday, even after you saw yesterday's
if you put Aaron Rodgers on, if you
no, I'm just trying to be clear. Even after yesterday's game, you still hold it.
We're gonna get to that a little bit later. But if you swapped teams, if you put them on each other's team, there's no way Green Bay is in the NFC Championship
Donovan,
game.
please.
Oh, God.
I tried.
Okay, first of all, will you stop with this Aaron Rodgers is the Michael Jordan of the NFL? Because he's not. And
he's the best player in football.
Stop.
By quite a measure.
No, stop.
Yeah, by a lot.
Okay, he may be the best quarterback, but he's not the best player in the NFL to compare him to Michael Jordan. And then you're comparing.
There is no Michael Jordan in football.
There is no right.
He's
so
the closest
don't even
thing
compare.
to it. I didn't say it. You just did.
And then your whole comparison with Jeter and A-Rod numbers. No, that is not true because Jeter's not a home run hitter and A-Rod was. And Dan Marino and Joe Montana. Joe Montana would never put up the numbers that Dan Marino put up. But
that's why
the thing that you tried to explain that you didn't get to is he's a winner. It's not about the numbers. It's not about if he's throwing however many touchdowns. He's a winner.
Right.
He's the greatest quarterback of all time at this point. Win or lose in the Super Bowl, he's number one over Joe Montana. And what made Joe Montana great? Because he was a winner as well.
Right. In other words,
not
Jeter,
about the numbers.
also a winner, Montana a winner,
but it
Brady
wasn't
a
about
winner.
Their numbers.
But now Brady also has the numbers. That's my point.
But see, Brady's numbers are nowhere compared to Peyton Manning's
in
numbers.
In his best season there.
One or two seasons with Randy Moss. And that's the difference between a lot of these players that we're mentioning. It's not about the supporting cast of Hall of Famers that he played with at the skill position, but they're winners. When Tom Brady steps on the football field, that whole football field feels confident in the fans and the players that they're going to win the game because of Tom Brady. Not because of Tom Brady's ability to throw for 400 yards or whatever touchdown, because of his greatness when the chips are down with 2 minutes to go in the game, they know that he will win the football game. There's something to be said about 7 Super Bowl appearances. When right now going into the Super Bowl, he's 4-2. When on 2 big plays, he would be 6-0. And so when you think about the great players who have played this game, the John Elways, the Dan Marinos, the Steve Youngs, the Troy Aikmans, people who have won multiple Super Bowls, and you look at where they were through the middle of their career toward the end of their career, Tom Brady stands alone at 39 years old to play the way he played this year, to lead to the Super Bowl, and the way that he's been playing throughout his career. He is the greatest all time.
Did it take you until now to realize that? Because he's been there for a minute.
The last 5 years, I've always said that he was 1B behind Joe Montana. It's hard to pass over Joe Montana and the teams that they've had. No one talks about like Walsh like they talk so much about Bill Belichick being so great. Bill Belichick is a defensive-minded guy. So offensively, when you have a quarterback that can play the way he's been playing, that says a lot. He's number one all time, no matter if he wins or loses the Super Bowl.
It's hard to argue against y'all points on a day like today after he performed the way that he did
on your team
yesterday's in the AFC Championship game. You can rub that in. Don't get me started. Don't get me started talking about your Eagles. But let me say this to you. But I'm going to try anyway because I'm a Joe Montana guy. Always have been. I think that he's the ultimate winner. I could see that Tom Brady, longevity, 39 years of age, doing what he's doing, not trying to take anything away from him. But I just want to throw a couple of stats by y'all. Not numbers, names. Do you know that in Tom Brady, first of all, first couple of Super Bowls they won, primarily was due to their defense, even though Tom Brady...
And also Vinatieri.
And Adam Vinatieri, yes. So, yes, that. So you got a couple of Super Bowls there where it was Tom Brady, relatively pedestrian, didn't make any mistakes. He wasn't the Tom Brady that he is now, conceivably so, because he was young in his career. We understand that. But nevertheless, that's a fact. Let's also throw this out there. Just wanted to throw this out there, y'all. Stand corrected if I'm wrong. I got Tom Brady's playoff log in front of me. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you the quarterbacks who he has lost to in the postseason. Jake Plummer. Mm-hmm. Did you know that? Of course, he lost to Peyton Manning. Joe Flacco a couple of times. Peyton Manning again last year, last year or whatever. You got again, I mentioned Joe Flacco. And so we look at it from that perspective. Okay, and Eli Manning twice.
Yeah.
So Eli Manning 2 Super Bowls. Jake from the Eli Mannings of the world. to the Peyton Mannings of the world, all the way down to the Jake Plumbers of the world. I'm saying to you, I also recognize that if it were not for the stupidest call in the history of the Super Bowl by Pete Carroll and his offensive coordinator to try to make Russell Wilson into a hero instead of giving Marshawn Lynch the ball at the half-yard line, it would still be since 2004 that Tom Brady has actually won a Super Bowl.
I want to respond to that quickly,
Hold on.
before you get in.
So what I'm saying to y'all is, again, he's every bit as great as y'all say he is. I agree with that. But that's where I pause in terms of putting him ahead of Joe Montana. That's the only issue.
I want to mention one thing.
Because of the quarterbacks that he's
What?
lost to?
Yeah.
I want to add one thing.
What about the defenses that he
Tom
faced
Brady
too with those?
didn't have Jerry Rice.
Right.
So let's
Yeah,
let's
but
leave-
he had
let's
Randy
leave that-
Moss.
no,
Don't even put
he had Randy
Gronkowski.
When
Moss.
he had Randy
And he had
Moss, when he had
Gronkowski.
Randy
Stop.
Moss,
Hold on.
they didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right, okay. But they
So
won,
he
but they
never
were
won a
considered the
Super Bowl with
greatest
all
team of all
pro
time
receivers.
until Eli Manning beat
Listen.
them. Right, wait, hold on.
Jerry
Listen, he had Deion Branch.
Two things. One.
He's had Givens. He's had guys that.
Two things. The reason Brady loses in the playoffs to those kind of quarterbacks, Stephen A., is because he's in the playoffs every year. He has to lose in the playoffs eventually, or he'd win the Super Bowl every year. He's making his 7th Super Bowl appearance, and he's won 4 so far. Of course, he occasionally has to lose to Jake Plummer or Eli or Flacco, whoever. Secondly, he's not playing the other quarterback. He's playing their defense. This is a team game. The same way people like Molly and Donovan give him a little too much credit because a lot of it's the coaching and the teams he's on. You're taking the credit away because it's a team game. He's playing the other
How are we
defense.
giving him too much credit because of the coaching? You have to play the game.
I want to say one more thing about Montana Brady. Here's the difference in the comparison. This is why I brought up the numbers. You're right. It was always Brady is the Montana of this era. The difference is Montana wasn't putting up Marino numbers, and that's my point. If you're looking for a tiebreaker between Brady and Montana, Brady is Montana putting up Marino and Peyton type numbers.
He's not putting up Marino's numbers. But
All I was trying to say is that we're not taking any credit away from Brady. The question is when you talk about him being the greatest, whoever you considered the greatest prior to him and his elevation, why would you give him the nod? So all I'm saying to you is when I think about the competition he's going against and those first 2 Super Bowls, which I credit their defense and Adam Vinatieri more so than anything else, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, Brady is the man, but do I put him above Montana? That's where my trepidation kicks in.
so you saying yes, you do?
Yes. I'm saying that I keep Montana there. For me. That's what I'm saying.
All right. We want to know what you guys think at home about Super Bowl 51. Matt Ryan and the Falcons facing Tom Brady and the Patriots. But who wins? Go on Twitter now and vote those results a little later in the show. Donovan, you are sticking with us.